ready to talk about my Teferi deck. So this deck is essentially me just shuffling together all the cards I always wanted to play with again. Like back in the late 90s when I was a regular on the Pro Tour, Worlds 98, played Mono Blue, I went 6-1, almost made top 8, they wound up publishing my deck. 99, again a Mono Blue control deck, 6-0 that time. So I mean those two blue decks, there's a lot of people identified those with me, and you know, I just enjoy playing them. I like being the guy with the grip full of counterspells and the whispers of the Muse at the end of your turn, and just, you know, just trying not to die for the first dozen turns of the game, and then eventually finding some way to win. It's just, that's fun magic for me. I mean, it's an acquired taste, not everybody loves it, that's fine. But you know what, I figured if I'm going to build a commander deck, let me build one out of cards I actually want to play with. So I think Teferi is the obvious guy to go for this. I'm sure you can build a more degenerate Teferi deck than the one that I've built here, but this one was very much, like I said, it's me just trying to take those late 90s draw-go decks, shuffle together all the cards I used to play with, and build that deck rather than a degenerate Teferi deck. Don't get me wrong, Teferi is still plenty degenerate all by himself. He's quite good. So Teferi, and then my favorite part of the deck comes right at the beginning. Basic islands. There's a lot of these in the deck, obviously. Oh, it's just the grip full of untapped islands. It's just fun magic for me. A lot of this deck, I haven't played it a ton in multiplayer. I suspect it's probably just bad. I mean, if anybody, you can't realistically counter everything if 3 people are ganging up on you, so you kind of got to pick your spots. But I've played some Commander just heads up, you know, people just want to play quick one-on-one. This is the deck you want to grab. Thawing Glaciers, obviously good. I do have Fex lanes in here just to be able to have a reshuffle effect for, you know, there's a top and, you know, a couple other reasons. Soul Ring, obviously. Random utility lands. I've got a Trinket Mage, so it's nice to be able to Trinket Mage for blue mana if you need it. Faerie Conclave is a victory condition, right? Absolutely. Being able to untap Legends is relevant. Extra mana, always got to have more mana in these kind of decks. I do have a Dust Bowl, and I've got the Wasteland and a Strip Mine. Desert can be decent, Quicksand. Like he really, Stalking Stones actually was one of my primary victory conditions in the 98 deck, so got to dust that one off, even if he's maybe a little obsoleted by some of these other cards. Mishra is Tectonic Edge, Urza's Factory. Urza's Factory has probably been the best land victory condition for me in playing this. Strip, Maze of Ith, obviously, Whispers of the Muse. It's been so obsoleted by so many card drawing spells, I'm not even sure it's good anymore, but it takes me back, so still a big fan. Stroke of Genius. I mean, probably should have Blue Sun Zeniths in here, I don't. But Andrew Cuneo was at Worlds this year. Cuneo went 6-0 day 1 with like an old school looking blue-white control deck, including Blue Sun Zenith, which no one is playing, which just, yeah. Go Andrew. Andrew Cuneo, of course, being the guy who actually invented those draw-go decks that I had so much success with. So you got to draw cards. I mean, this deck it's basically permission, card drawing, some answers, and a couple of victory conditions. So being able to draw cards at the end of their turn is nice, and it's particularly good with Teferi in play. Suddenly I can do creatures at the end of their turn, so I can Mulldrifter at the end of their turn. Jaces are obviously good. But I mean, it turns the Ophidians into pretty good card drawing spells. Like, Draw Go wants to say, I never tap mana on my own turn, and Teferi just lets you do that, and you can still play with creatures now. Like, I can summon an Ophidian at the end of your turn, and then attack you, and I never had to tap out to do it. So, you know, the Thieving Magpie, the Scroll Thief, I mean, all the Ophidians are suddenly pretty solid Draw Go cards because of Teferi. Jushi Apprentice, a nice card draw spell. Trinket Mage is good for utility. We're sort of in the card drawing section of the deck, right? Factor Fiction, Thirst for Knowledge, all the hits are here. Divining Top, Brainstorm, Ponder. Scroll Rack is an old favorite of mine, still good. Impulse. And then you hit the counterspell section of the deck, right? I mean, the thing is, this deck, I think this deck actually looks more intimidating. It's probably more intimidating to play against than you realize. Like, it's a little... Yeah, you can't play 4 Whispers of the Muse, you only have 1. It's not actually as good as it looks. So for me, it's almost more nostalgic than power level. But it is quite good, and like if you don't know how to play against a control deck, I can certainly roll you. But yeah, so I mean, a Mana Drain, a Negate, a Remand, an Essence Scatter. I've kind of got these in mana order, Counterspell. The problem with the counterspells is there have been very few good counterspells printed since the late 90s. Like, R&D obviously looked at those late 90s draw go decks and are like, this isn't how Magic is supposed to work. These aren't supposed to be the best decks. A lot of people don't enjoy playing against them. And that's about when I made the jump into R&D too. So I'm like, guys, 2 mana, counter anything is ridiculous. This card is so powerful. You can't reprint Counterspell. Now it's to the point where even Mana Leak is too good, people are talking about, right? Compared to Counterspell, it's just the game has drifted away. Counters just aren't as good. So it means with a lot of commander decks, you just get 15 years worth of cards to choose from. And this one, I'm like, all right, all the cards through about 2000, and then there's like 3 new counter spells printed in the last 11 years. Mana Leak, Miscalc, Exclude's decent, Spell Crumble. I do run a Forbid. Hindering their general is so dirty. You feel awesome and it's, yeah, hindering generals is, you gotta hold that one and save it. People are not happy. Dissipate, Faerie Trickery. Yeah, buddy mine at work does altars. James Soy, he's quite good at it, so I was happy to get a Cryptic Command from him. The Dismiss, Rewind makes the cut, I think. Desertion is always a beating. Force of Will, kind of Descend, and then you kind of hit the answer section of the deck. I mean, the density of permission in this deck is just lower than it was in the real draw go decks and sort of when they were at their height and standard, because there aren't enough counters. Like, there just haven't been enough new ones printed that for you to actually get the same density. So like, I can't actually counter everything. I can have fun trying, and if I stitch it together with the card drawing, maybe, but you can actually bleed this deck out of counters, but it doesn't make it less fun. So I've got some answers. There's a Pithing Needle. I mean, a couple of the artifacts that blow stuff up. You know, you can't run 4 discs, or 4 kegs, but you get a Ratchet Bomb, a keg. There's a disc in here. They're kind of a couple bounce spells into the Royal and Repulse. Vidalcan Shackles is obviously very, very, very good. You're definitely hoping to draw that. The deck doesn't really have a lot of tutoring ability. I mean, it's got card drawing and flow, but no real tutoring other than the Trinket Mage, so you just kind of hope to draw it. Side Blast is a solid answer. Oblivion Stone and the Nevi's Disc. Sower. The control magic effects. Treachery. Got a Capsize. Sometimes a good set. And then you hit the victory conditions, right? Teferi lets you just end of turn. I'm going to summon some giant monsters. I've got 4 right now. My set is Sphinx of Magosi, who's probably the best one, honestly. Just because the extra card drawing is so powerful in this deck. I run a Frost Titan. Kega is quite good. And then may as well run a Platinum Angel. Comes up, right? Not the most degenerate deck, not the most powerful deck, but takes me back. It's fun to play. Thanks for watching CMDR Decks. Subscribe for your favorites.